Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. I am dressed in Versace today, almost completely, for a reason. We'll figure out later. 1990s Versace hat, very particular hat in wool with metal. And Versace for Soho, for the New York Soho boutique exclusive t-shirt, which with the Medusa, which was also available for purchase online at the Versace store many years ago when they inaugurated their new, back then, new Soho boutique in New York. And the safety pins, don't they ring a bell? One of Versace's most iconic and famous dresses ever created for Liz Hurley. Well, she wore it at a red carpet event, has been copied by thousands of people, and including this kind of homage to Versace and Chanel because of the quilting, made by Jeremy Scott for Adidas back in 2012. So that's 5 years ago. So this jacket, 5 years old. Gianni meets Chanel meets Jeremy. But I am dressed in Gianni Versace, mostly vintage and kind of soft vintage, because while traveling from A to B and back again, as Andy Warhol would say, by the way, I suggest you read the autobiography of Andy Warhol, From A to B and Back Again, hilarious. I stumbled upon several fashion weeks, one of which being Fashion Week Berlin. And in that particular fashion week, I mean, let's not talk about the brands represented. What was interesting to me was a Gianni Versace exhibition, kind of created by a collector that collects fashion and Versace clothing, mostly 90s Gianni Versace styles. So, of course, Super D had to be on it right away. I'm like, okay, finally somebody's dedicating that particular era, mostly that particular era, to an exhibition on Gianni Versace. So I had no clue what was I supposed to expect, how big it was or how not big it was. So here you go, guys. I went and I took pictures, and we're going to kind of go through them now together. So I'm going to show you the exhibition as photographed by Super D, but also, we have together in the past reviewed actual modern time, contemporary fashion shows on my channel, and I think it would be interesting to kind of finally have a review of pictures that I've taken so that I could use instead of just giving you a link, and also going back into time, into the past, because I think that is way more interesting to understand where we are standing now, and especially when the fashion is so incredible, like 90s, early 90s Gianni Versace fashion. Okay, so let's get right to it. Let me move to the side. Before we get into what exactly the show was about and what the pieces were, let me show you what I wore to the show. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, my Instagram profile is Super Dacob, all spelled together. You could see all of the previews of everything that I post here even before it hits YouTube, so you can get kind of hints and glimpses inside of what I do. But you could check out here this image of me wearing 1990s, so first half of the 90s, Gianni Versace for men from the male collection. Jeans pant, yeah, it's jeans, but the print is incredible, very saturated. They have been kept immaculately throughout the decades, and you have kind of a Greek and Roman theater representation with a typical Greca motif, particularly close to the crotch area of the jeans. Then I have the t-shirt that I'm wearing now and a silk Gianni Versace op art from Spring-Summer 2010 shirt. The logo has been changed already by then, by 2010. Donatella Versace does not call it Gianni Versace anymore, but just Versace, obviously because she's designing it now. Not just her, but you know what I mean. And the hat is Jeremy Scott for New Era. The shoes are Mastodon sneakers by Rick Owens for Adidas. And the bag is a first half of the 90s, very, very early 90s, maybe even late 80s, but it's early 90s, Gianni Versace with several Medusas on it. It's a leather bag. So, oh yes, the sunglasses are Chanel. All right, so that's me. You can imagine me going through, the fashion fair or whatever, dressed up like that. Security guys were running after me thinking that I was one of the mannequins from the show that came to life and is running away with the clothes from the collection, from the exhibit. But no, it was all mine. I guarantee you that. Okay, let's kick in the first image. Bam. Okay, here you have something very fascinating. I mean, it doesn't look like much to us today, but back in the day, it was quite revolutionary. We have the cowboy collection, leather vest from 1993, and the animal print skirt from 1992. The studding and the way that everything that has been studded and, you know, all the rivets and everything that's metallic attached or applied to the leathers, that is something that Gianni did, or that his ateliers did incredibly well back in the 90s. The Versace Maison does not really deliver so well on their metal, kind of on their hardware nowadays, or on their costume jewelry. Every piece of costume jewelry I have had till now, I have somewhere here. Oh, this is tragic. This is a spring-summer 2010 Versace bracelet, oxidated and like peeled. The chrome is gone. Okay, let's take away the picture and like show you. Reviewing the tragedies. It's going to be really hard to see, guys. Like, this is supposed to be chromed. Oh, you can't even see. But anyway, it just to the, it smells like metal to the touch. What a waste of money. Never again. Thank you. Okay, anyway, but the pieces from back in the day did not have this issue. The plating was, the chroming was done properly and you know, very well. Moving on. Oh, these boots. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do, except those boots are unfortunately going to stay there forever. Nobody's allowed to wear them. I mean, yes, very hookers are us, but whatever. It's what we've learned, you know, Gianni, we've learned to love him for that. And every time I see this type of footwear, my heart just opens up. I don't see anything vulgar in it. I know that if a designer nowadays would make a shoe like this, it would come across quite vulgar and cheap, perhaps, in many respects. But the idea behind it and kind of the whole story behind, you know, transforming everything from the antique, from ancient Rome and Greek mythology into kind of modern times back in the 90s, this was revolutionary. So yes, after so many decades, some might consider it as vulgar, but if you have an original Versace piece from the 90s that looks like this, that's different than what, you know, Jersey Shore kind of depicts on television. Tacky bling bling. Yeah, we get it. This was kind of perhaps the elevation of tacky bling bling into higher end fashion, for sure. Tacky bling bling existed before Gianni Versace, but Gianni pushed it to a totally different level. So I respect him for that. Then we have this gorgeous leather studded jacket and then studded skirt. So the jacket is from 1991 and the skirt is from 1993. And you can see how well they fit together, how well they kind of combine together. And this is something very interesting because it shows us how well you can pull off a piece and then a couple of seasons later add another piece to it. And the piece that you bought a couple of seasons prior is not out of fashion still. And to me, you know, still today, I have a leather jacket by Gianni Versace for men from the 90s without so many studs. It's kind of like a more basic version, toned down. The leather is like incredible. You don't get that leather nowadays anymore. And the fact that I could, you know, I still wear it, but the fact that you could kind of combine this with another piece from a couple of seasons later, it's just incredible. It's beautiful, and it's also a testament to how, you know, fashion can transcend time, for sure. And I would still love to see, on somebody tasteful, these two pieces combined today still. Next piece we have a skirt and a jacket. The jacket is gorgeous because it is reminiscent of a vest, but we do have the sleeves that are very sheer. We have a diamond kind of matelassé sort of, it's not matelassé, it's not kilted, but we have the structure of diamonds running throughout. And you can't really see here, but when you stand up close, on a lot of the cross sections where the pattern of the diamonds kind of intersect, you have little attached crystals, which, you know, is a lot of work. These are details that have to be handmade. Moving on, a close-up of a 90s from the pop art collection jacket with polka dots or appois. We have also kind of and from the antique inspired lily transfigured and transposed on the revers of the jacket. We have chromatic game going on, reds and blacks and yellow hues, and then we have a skirt which is from another collection. But now this is a very, very flirty piece. You have to be in the right mood and the right mindset to pull this off, for sure. Moving on, we have, this is kind of it's a trench coat, you know, it's kind of a jacket, trench coat, oversized blouson if you want. Also pop art, gorgeous saturated colors. This is a silk material, almost, you can't really see on the photo, but there are parts of it that almost feel patchworky, as if like an additional moiré was added, even though it wasn't. But that's kind of the effect it does have on the eyes, depending on how the light falls on it and how it reflects the light. Just gorgeous. Just the depth of these colors is incredible. I didn't even need to retouch this picture. This is one-to-one how I photographed it. That's how saturated the piece is in real life. Just so beautiful. And for the pigmentation and the color, you know, to preserve itself throughout all these decades, it's just a testament to its quality. Here you have a grouping of three pieces together that depict and represent Gianni's love for color, love for theater. In particular, you could see the second, the shirt that is worn in combination with the leather pants. How gorgeous the kind of the game is going on there, and it's like a theater stage, and you have the curtains, you have them in orange and you have them in green, and it's like two worlds that meet together in one. And very playful. At first, you know, you look at it and you think, oh, what? No thought went into it, but a lot of thought went into it. A lot of thought went into also how this piece will play with light as you move into the room, through the room when you're wearing the piece. Really gorgeous. And also, you could see here a close-up of the pants from the front. You can see how the perforation works on the leather. You know, nowadays we can work with lasering. We laser everything to death, you know, and you could get these incredible laser cuts. Back in the day, that was not really the case. So you had to employ other machines, or you had to work with hand to create certain types of holes or perforations within leather. Here is another image of the front of the shirt. You could see the checkered kind of floor. You could see the draping. You could see the entire prints of all of those drapey curtains falling on this theater of a stage, which becomes the human body. In this case, this mannequin's body, plastified body. But you could see when the shirt is tied up in a knot frontally, you get even more of that effect of the draping, of the printed drapes and curtains on the shirt. It's like adding layers upon layers upon layers. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. Really beautiful to see. Here's another one. This is not a shirt. This is a jacket without a collar, slightly Asian inspired. You know, you could see also Coco Chanel-esque kind of inspiration and vibe going on there, and the simplicity of the cut, and yet it's very, very feminine. It accentuates the female body in the right spots. Again, the chromatic game here is incredible. We have geometric shapes combined with biological floral shapes, and usually that is tacky beyond belief, but here it really works. Really works. I'm not so sure about the styling with the pairing with the pants underneath, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The jacket itself is just gorgeous. I mean, here you can't see on the photo, the pants are purple. I mean, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I mean, you could wear it, of course. There's purple that reflects in the jacket as well. But the artsy print jacket is from 1991. Next shot is of kind of, it's like a bathing suit in red with a silver Gianni Versace belt. of course, if you're wearing the costume jewelry belt, you're not supposed to go swimming. So this was literally an accessory to wear at the pool while you're drinking cocktails, but you're not dipping your full body into the swimming pool. You're just perhaps dipping your toes. And then you have the famous Gianni Versace heart print on this kimono-esque yeah, I don't really know, because unfortunately I don't remember. I didn't photograph the length of it, so I'm not so sure what to call it, if it ends at the knee or if it goes all the way to the floor. Anyway. No, wait. I see another picture. It goes only to the knee. So how do they call it here? Jim Dinehart's print robe. Okay, they just call it a robe. Fine, let's just call it a robe. So it ends at the knee, and the next image is of... This is a bathrobe. This is a bathrobe that they have styled almost as a dress, but it is a bathrobe, and it does have a Gianni Versace, it's a Versace bathrobe and a Versace gold Medusa belt attached to it. Also extremely beautiful and elegant in its decadence, but a gorgeous piece. Moving on, we have the Indian silk blouse from 1992, worn by Claudia Schiffer in an ad campaign, paired with a red flare pants and Medusa green belt from 1995. The blouse is 1992. The pants are 1993. The combo works for me, more or less. Now, I do remember, the Indian-inspired collection from the 90s, and there were some gorgeous pairings with silk blouses, jackets, and skirts, and then these like gorgeous jeans or leather skirts that go all the way to the floor. Combined, the proportions were just amazing, and the use of material was very experimental for that time and very modern and new. This is more conservative, but nevertheless, it works for me. The Indian blouse is something very famous. It's been worn many times by many different stars, starlets, and wannabe stars. The pattern also slightly varies. There's a version for men, for women. This shirt is generally this silk shirt with this Indian print pattern is a very famous Gianni Versace print. Here you can see a quick close-up of it as well with detailing. Probably, had he done it today, would we scream cultural appropriation? Maybe we would. Back in the day, that was not so much of an issue. Next piece to die for, orange bondage jacket worn by Christy Turlington and paired with a green pleated skirt. The orange bondage jacket is beyond amazing. It's just so beautiful. On this photo, you don't really see how beautiful the orange is because the spotlights were so intense and strong illuminating it, but in real life, the orange is much more saturated than it comes across in this photo. The bondage bits with the gold hardware, the studs, the buttons, the applications to the buttons, the enamel on the buttons is just gorgeously worked through and done. And, you have to consider this piece is decades old and it didn't tarnish. The gold did not, the plating or the toning did not just chip off. It's still there. It's still there intact and gorgeous. And the pleated skirt attached to it with the shoes, which you can see here. It's just so gorgeous. Here's a close-up of the shoes. Again, something like this worn today might come across as wrong, as tacky, also worn by the wrong person. But back in the day, the type of bling, which was already present before Versace started doing bling and elevating it to high fashion or higher. Well, it's not haute couture. This is not Atelier Versace. This is all pret-à-porter. But on a higher level of fashion, that elevation, from ghetto bling to riches is something revolutionary for back in the day. Today, it's kind of something we take for granted, but had it not been for Gianni, we wouldn't have that notion of even a possibility of something so kind of originally tacky and ghetto being elevated to luxury spheres. So it's a beautiful notion, and I love it. And again, it's all about wearing the things for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons. You got to know how to pull a thing off, for sure. Next piece, let's see. We have the lace and wool tailleur jacket from 1994, lace silk tailleur skirt from 1994. Now this one, the red, you know, it's so saturated. It's kind of hard to photograph as well, but because, you know, the light reflecting on top of these beautiful, expensive materials, the dyes of those materials and the colors are just so vibrant that it's hard for a camera to even capture the colors. So in real life, they're even more majestic than they result in picture. And here's a close-up of the sleeve. You see all the beading and all the little studs and all the little beads and the paillettes and all the craftsmanship that went into all of these swirls and wavy tones and hues and kind of reminiscence of leaves. The ornaments are mostly done and executed by hand where possible. So that enrichment of this of the sleeve just makes everything. And look how simple the jacket with the skirt is, and then you just add that detail on that sleeve. It's so incredible. The next piece is a vest or a gilet, again we have paillettes that, you know, together form a palm tree or several palm trees. We have symmetry going on here in the button section as well as in the floral part of the piece. The orange juxtaposed to the blue and the green hues is just so beautiful. It's very reminiscent of a sunset, a tropical sunset. It makes you feel warm. It makes you feel happy. The second you see this, you just go happy. And I love the detail of the trimming of the leather trim around the absent collar, just the rounded trimming of the leather around the neck. It just makes it just that much more elegant and rich, as well as the bordure at the bottom of the gilet. Paired with a pleated black skirt. Next piece, this is a metal mesh dress. Gianni used to experiment quite a bit with metal as well. Donatella continues doing so. It is definitely something, a material that is an homage, directly or indirectly, to Paco Rabanne. Paco Rabanne is famous for working with metal and metal mesh and all sorts of metal materials that kind of can be formed into a dress. So Paco Rabanne is the first designer that really experimented a lot with metal. But the Versace metal mesh goes beyond experimentation, you know, it becomes very sexualized. This particular piece is kind of more of an elegant piece because it's not overly short or skimpy in a way that it could be and it sometimes was. This is more of a kind of an elegant piece, and this toned down in this almost champagne gold color. Very, very beautiful. Moving on, the next piece is the yellow dress with flowers from 1978 with an underskirt. This is the oldest piece from the collection that I have seen, at least in the collection, in this show. This is from back in the day when Gianni still had a different logo. It wasn't the Gianni Versace logo that we knew prior to the Versace logo. There was a lot of changes of logo. This was more of kind of an 80s, more reminiscent of a Art Deco or Art Nouveau type of font, which was also something very typical for the 80s. And since this one is from the 70s, it most definitely had that older logo. But it's fascinating to see that we have a sort of a quilting going on this dress, and the dress is made in a material that could be silk, but it's padded. So it creates this three-dimensional sculptural effect of a balloon almost standing there in place. And the shimmer and shine of it in real life, like when you see it live, you have the feeling you're wearing a blanket, you know, like a duvet or something like that. It's really, really beautiful. And the painting on the material of the purple flowers, the addition of that on this yellow tone is just incredible. It's really, really, really incredible. In the back, you see other designs by Gianni. I didn't go into detail with every piece. This is a selection, but you can see all of the pieces thanks to kind of the background visuals of some of these photos. Again, famous patterns and prints. The lady with the black top on one side of the dress, she's actually wearing pajama pants. I mean, the lady, the mannequin, the doll, is wearing a MEDUSA Versace pajama pants that kind of transform in this setting as something elegant and almost wearable in that entire setting, except for the fact that they're very loose, they're not very fitted, so you can see that they're a bit saggy. Now, I'm going to show you this image. This is the infamous, and hence why I'm also wearing this jacket with all these safety pins, the famous safety pin dress by Gianni Versace. There's a more famous one than this one. The more famous one that Miss or Mrs. She misses, or I don't even know if she's married anymore, Hurley wore on the red carpet. That's what made her and the dress world famous and famous still today. This is another version that is still available for purchase. I mean, not still available for purchase. That was available back then for purchase in different variations because it was all part of one theme of a collection. There, yeah, the wording is important. And here I'm going to cut in a little video for you guys. So now you can see the video, not me. I literally try to turn, move the camera around, and actually the mannequin is on a turning plate as all of this is taking place. So you could see she's very slowly turning around, and you could see how gorgeous this dress actually is. The entire construction, the upper part, the top, as juxtaposed to the bottom, is literally attached to the bottom thanks to all of these safety pins. That's just so fascinating to me. And also fascinating to consider that now it almost looks skimpy and simple, but back then it was such a feast for the eyes. We mustn't forget that a lot of what has been done in the past that today seems to be almost banal, and boring and at times vulgar, it all depends on what is the moral of the time. Are we analyzing the piece with the knowledge and the notion of where it comes from, where it belongs, the correct time frame, the correct moral time frame, the correct stylistic time frame, and also the correct time frame? Have you noticed that all of these mannequins actually have breasts? Most of Gianni's models were very voluptuous, round women. Round meaning curvaceous, meaning they were celebrating their femininity. It was the opposite of most, well, I hope that the trend is kind of fading out with time as we speak, of today's, anorexic, genderless sort of representation of femininity, and you have a lot of those Nordic brands as is Cause or Acne or something like that they just create like kind of sacks for women. There's no really curving there. There's no voluptuous femininity anymore. And Gianni celebrated the female body and the beauty of it. And that's something that today might not be considered so beautiful by today's beauty standards, but it was by 90s beauty standards. And I do hope that that comes back, and I do hope that women find, a lot of women never lost it, but the ones that kind of don't have a connection to their own body and that do not have a connection to comfort within their own body, being that body, curvier than what the media wants us to believe is attractive. I want those women to kind of just realize, don't worry about it. You learn to love your body as it is. Curves are gorgeous. They're very sensual. They're very instinctively just beautiful, and don't let anybody ever tell you that you got to be flat as an ironing board or something like that in order to be considered beautiful. That makes no sense. That's just today's society. It's a fad. It's going to pass, Tomorrow's standards are not going to be today's standards. I, for one, am just hoping from the depth of my soul that tomorrow's standards don't get worse than today's. But you never know. But as long as we keep fighting for, positive energy to prevail, positive self-reflection of our own bodies and self-esteem to prevail, I think we're kind of on the right track. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like this video and you've liked this journey with me through this tiny exhibition of kind of just a little jump into the rabbit hole with Allison Versace land with me, and yeah, maybe more will come. Depends, because exhibitions like these, you know, I would fly over somewhere to see it if something captivating enough were there, but it's kind of tough. Anyway, thumb up this video if you liked it. If you haven't already but do wish to, please consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. No matter how much we have to dig into the past to find beauty, or how much we have to hope for the future to find beauty, let's stop for a second there and realize that beauty is actually right now where we are with us, because we never give up on love. Love you guys. See you soon. Take care. Bye.